The exploration ship Odyssey was hurtling through space at light speed, making its way to the farthest corners of the galaxy. The gravity of their mission was etched onto every crew member's face. Only the deep hum of the engines and the occasional system alert broke the silence on board. They all knew the significance of this mission: to track down and destroy the dark enemy behind, the hidden assault, a brutal invasion that had decimated human colonies years ago. The team leader, Finan, sat deep in thought in the command chair. His chiseled features and steely gaze betrayed the heavy burden of his past. The others avoided eye contact, hiding their own anxieties about the mission. But Finan felt the weight of it more keenly than anyone. Beside him stood Nell, the team's strategist. Known for his dry humor and light-hearted quips, Nell usually lifted the crew's spirits. But even he was silent now, burdened by a tension he couldn't shake. After a moment, Finan called the rest of the team to the main deck for a briefing. One by one, the pilot Dare, tech specialist Sedge, medical officer Lila, and tracker Tegan took their places. Taking a deep breath, Finan looked each of them in the eye. "This journey isn't just an exploration," Finan began. "There was life in these dark corners of the galaxy once. Humans lived here, but that life was snuffed out years ago under mysterious circumstances. We must find out who this enemy is, where they came from, and most importantly, how to defeat them." His words sparked a look of resolve across their faces. Lila, her voice soft but confident, said, "Maybe we can finally confront this old enemy and reclaim our colonies." Nell crossed his arms and chuckled lightly. "Who knows? Maybe this mysterious enemy isn't as powerful as we think. Maybe we're just chasing an old ghost." Finan returned Nell's sarcasm with a slight smile. But deep down, he knew this mission could lead them into a far darker end than they expected. As the crew quietly focused on their stations, a signal flashed on the main screen, marking their destination. They were now headed straight into the heart of darkness. When they reached orbit around the planet, the sight below was more terrifying than they had imagined. The vast planet beneath them was a symbol of death, with red-hued soil, scattered ruins, and abandoned remnants. As Odyssey carefully descended toward the planet's surface, everyone held their breath. What remained of the old colonies lay hidden under a barren, desolate landscape. As soon as they disembarked, Tegan began scanning the surface for energy readings. Turning to Finan in a low voice, he said, "This feels like a battlefield. But it's much more than that. There are traces of a powerful energy source deep below. This is likely not natural." Finan narrowed his eyes as he scanned their surroundings. "That ancient enemy may still be waiting in the depths of this planet. Stay sharp, everyone. We're moving forward." Each team member readied their weapons and started moving silently across the planet's surface. The atmosphere seemed to carry the scent of death itself. Layers of dust and ash covered the remains of the old colonies, and each step gave them a deep, unsettling chill. A few meters ahead, Lila spotted a broken helmet. She knelt down, picked it up, and examined it closely. "This is a human helmet. They fought humans here. This might be the trace of the enemy that attacked our colonies," she murmured. Just then, a deep rumble from underground made the ground tremble. The team quickly took their positions, all senses heightened. The rumbling grew louder, and the ground opened up as a massive ancient war robot with a metallic body and enormous arms emerged. The sight left everyone holding their breath. This was a war machine from the depths of history. Finan's voice rang out sharply. "Get ready! It's attacking!" The robot moved its heavy metallic body, sending a horrifying vibration across the ground. As it unleashed blinding laser beams, the crew quickly took cover. Dare aimed his heavy weapon at the robot's armored body and fired. But the bullet simply bounced off its thick plating. The robot aimed its dazzling laser arms at Tegan and fired. Tegan managed to roll out of the way just in time. "We can't take this thing down alone," he shouted. Finan, thinking quickly, gave his team new orders. "We need to act before it reaches its target. We have to find its weak spots and hit them. Sedge, find an opening in its structure." Sedge scanned the robot system swiftly. "There's a weak connection on its left shoulder. We need to hit it there." Finan and the team focused their fire on the target. Dare poured intense firepower into the exact spot Sedge had indicated. The robot's left shoulder began to spark and shake after a few seconds. But it was still holding strong. As it moved its laser arms again, Lila and Nell took defensive positions. Lila quickly tended to the injured Dare, administering first aid on the spot. At last, Finnen's strategy worked. A concentrated shot on the weakened shoulder caused a massive explosion, bringing down the massive piece of metal. The robot trembled for a moment and then finally collapsed to the ground. Silence returned to the surroundings. Everyone took a deep breath. Finnen sat down amidst the dust and metal fragments, bracing his hands on his knees to catch his breath. This battle was only the beginning. The enemy lay hidden even deeper below, and the team would have to continue their journey into the heart of this dark enemy. After disabling the massive war robot, the team took a moment to catch their breath. But this was only the beginning of their journey. The enemy was deeper, hiding in the dark heart of the planet. Finnen, after giving his team a short time to regroup, knew as a leader that they had to act immediately. They were certain these invaders were the same ones who had destroyed their colonies years ago, and they couldn't leave this planet until they found them. Finnen turned to the others. "Are you ready to go deeper?" he asked resolutely. Each of them nodded in affirmation. The team moved through the abandoned ruins until they reached a tunnel system extending down into the depths of the planet. The tunnel walls were filled with ancient symbols that seemed to date back thousands of years. As they moved through the dark and narrow passages, a low hum seemed to emanate from beneath them, as if some ancient power source grew stronger with each step. After a while, they came across a massive metal door. Intricate designs covered the door, hinting at an ancient civilization. Sedge inspected the control panel by the door and noticed a complex encryption system in place. "I just need a few minutes. I can open this door," Sedge said, swiftly working his fingers over the panel, attempting to bypass the codes. A moment later, the door opened with a heavy rumble, revealing a vast room before them. But as soon as they stepped in, motion-sensing laser guns mounted on the ceiling started firing. "Take cover!" Finnen shouted, pulling his team members to the side. Tegan and Dare quickly took cover behind the wall, while Sedge returned to the control panel, trying to disable the laser system. Nell and Lila aimed carefully, firing at the laser sensors as beams of deadly light scattered across the room, creating a deadly dance of light and shadows. Finally, Sedge managed to bypass the system, and the lasers powered down. As the room returned to silence, everyone let out a sigh of relief. "That was just a warning," Nell said with a slight smirk. "They're clearly not happy about us being here." Resolutely, Finnen stepped further into the room, scanning his surroundings. In the center of the room stood an ancient control panel, with large holographic maps displayed on a central table. The holograms showed the tunnel systems and security measures extending deep into the planet. But more intriguing than the maps were traces of advanced technology used by this ancient civilization. This technology was unlike anything humans had ever encountered. As they examined the room's contents, they noticed movement around them. From hidden compartments in the walls, mechanical guards from this ancient civilization began to emerge. Each guard was human-sized, moving on 4 legs, with gleaming metallic bodies and a surprising speed. These robots, with red glowing eyes, poised to strike with advanced weaponry. "Look out! They're coming!" Tegan shouted, aiming at the nearest guard and firing. The first bullet left a slight mark on the guard's armor, but it wasn't enough. These machines were highly resistant to ordinary weapons. Dare quickly pulled out a grenade and targeted a group of guards. The explosion filled the room with thick smoke, taking out several guards, but the rest continued their assault. Finnen quickly issued a command to his team. "Move as a unit. These guards have strong armor, but aim for their joints, the vulnerable spots." Lila took Finnen's advice, aiming at the leg joint of the closest guard. After a few shots, the guard's leg snapped, causing it to lose balance and collapse. Nell emerged from behind the wall, firing rapid shots to distract the other guards while Tegan and Sedge targeted the remaining ones. But the guards, showcasing their advanced technology, relentlessly pressed forward with even fiercer attacks. As the battle intensified, Finnen noticed one of the guards charging a weapon in its chest, creating a blazing ball of energy. A blinding flash filled the room, followed by an explosive roar. With all his strength, Finnen threw himself to the side, narrowly avoiding the deadly blast. The explosion knocked Finnen to the ground, and his head spun. But as he regained his footing, Lila was by his side, helping him up. The rest of the team had also managed to eliminate the last remaining guards during this time. Once the room fell silent again, the team noticed another passageway opening before them. This entrance led to a staircase plunging even deeper. Sedge looked at the entrance with a sigh. If everything is this complicated, I don't even want to think about the actual power source down there. Despite the concern on Sedge's face, Finnan's determination remained steady. We're already on this path. If what we faced here was just the outer defense, we can't even imagine what's waiting for us inside. The team took a deep breath and began descending the stairs. The stairs, made of a blend of soil and metal, gave the feeling that they were entering a sacred temple carrying traces of an ancient civilization. When they reached the bottom, they were met with a vast, dark chamber. At the center of the room, a massive power source glowed. Bright energy cables stretched across the room, pulsing as if alive. In the center, capsules housed dormant beings. Although invisible to the eye, their energy was palpable, as they had lain still for a long time. As Finnan approached the capsules, he spoke thoughtfully. This civilization, it shielded itself, maybe even waited for us. To them, we're either foes or saviors. Just then, one of the capsules opened, and a hologram slowly rose from within. Speaking in an alien tongue, the hologram's voice came to Finnan as a faint hum. But the team had come to understand the gravity of this ancient enemy's strength. This civilization's remnants aren't just old technology. The threat before us is far stronger than we'd imagined, Tegan murmured, staring at the hologram. Turning to his team, Finnan said, "This is our moment to stop their awakening. If this enemy rises once again, it won't just threaten us, it will threaten all of our colonies." With one final resolution, each member of the team aimed their weapons at the capsules. As they unleashed their assault, the room once again transformed into a battlefield. Finnan and his team aimed their weapons at the capsules, intent on preventing them from awakening. Determination etched on each face, they knew it was their duty to stop this ancient enemy, even if it cost their lives. But before they could act, one of the capsules suddenly opened, and from it rose a massive, translucent entity. Its body vibrated with energy, eyes flashing red, casting an eerie aura around the room. This being was the leader of the ancient civilization, known to its people as the Herald of the Gods, Zanari. Zanari gazed at Finnan and his team, projecting its thoughts directly into their minds. "We have waited centuries for this moment. Avenging your return is our sacred duty." Finnan shivered at Zanari's mental intrusion, but he stood firm. "You destroyed our colonies, slaughtered our people. Today you will answer for it," he shouted, gripping his weapon tightly as his voice echoed through the chamber. At Finnan's signal, the team opened fire on Zanari and the other beings inside the capsules. Bullets and energy waves clashed in the room as Zanari raised its arms, forming a protective energy shield around itself. The bullets dissolved into the shield without causing any harm, and Zanari laughed, launching the shield outward in a powerful burst. The room quaked with the explosion of energy. Lila barely dodged the blast, throwing herself to the ground, while Tegan's armor sustained damage from the force. Sedge rushed over to help him, but the enemy was relentless, pressing forward with yet another attack. Zanari lifted a finger as if pressing an unseen command, activating the guards inside the other capsules. Towering robotic sentries lumbered from every corner of the room, their deathly gaze sweeping the area as they closed in, turning the skirmish into a desperate fight for survival. Quick to react, Finnan turned to his team and gave strategic orders. "Their shields are massive but exposed at the joints. Target those weak points," he shouted, firing at the closest guard. Nell aimed for a guard's knee joint, following Finnan's lead. After a few shots, the guard staggered and collapsed, but before she could fully disable it, another guard's heavy fist struck Nell's armor, knocking her down. Tegan rushed over, attacking the guard and shooting it down with a well-aimed shot to the head. Meanwhile, Finnan observed Zanari's energy field. All of its attacks were energy-based, causing severe damage to the team. "Take cover behind the metal walls to shield against Zanari's energy waves," Finnan shouted. Zanari launched another energy wave, filling the room with blinding light as Finnan and his team ducked behind the walls, partially shielded from the impact. Finnan noticed that Zanari's strength was drawn from a source in the corner of the room, a massive, glowing energy core. This core supplied Zanari with limitless energy. Destroying it would weaken Zanari and drain the guards. Without taking his eyes off the core, Finnan whispered to his team, "If we destroy the core, we can stop him." They all nodded in agreement. However, reaching the core wouldn't be easy. Guards patrolled constantly, and Zanari's explosive energy waves threatened to block their path. Dare pulled out his last grenade, glancing at Finnan. "We could use this for one last attack. It could shake them up." Finnan observed the guards' patrol routes and signaled Dare. Dare hurled the grenade near the core, and as it exploded, a wave of energy radiated across the room, momentarily destabilizing some of the guards and disabling others. In the confusion, Finnan darted towards the core, with the others following, providing covering fire. Just as they neared the core, Zanari appeared, gathering its remaining energy for a final lethal strike aimed at the team. The energy wave Zanari unleashed was powerful enough to end everything. Finnan and his team fought to hold their ground, using their shields to deflect the blow, but the intensity of the attack forced them backward. With a last surge of determination, Finnan sprinted towards Zanari and the core, drawing his energy weapon. This weapon was one of the colony's most potent, capable of neutralizing Zanari's power source directly. Taking careful aim, Finnan fired at the core. The weapon's energy hit its target, causing a massive explosion. The core shattered, and Zanari's body began to flicker, its energy waves fading as the room plunged into darkness. With a final, spectral wail, Zanari's form dissolved, the glow in its eyes extinguishing as it faded away. The team surveyed the destruction, realizing they had achieved victory amidst the devastation. The guards lay still, nothing more than piles of metal, and Zanari's energy had completely dissipated. Finnan took a deep breath, turning to his team with a weary but triumphant look in his eyes. "Mission accomplished," he murmured, his voice heavy with the intensity of the battle. Lila approached Finnan, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder with a faint smile. "Now we can go home. And this time, we return as victors." Each team member was drained, physically and mentally, but they understood that this victory had cemented them as some of the galaxy's most formidable warriors. Their success for the colonies and for humanity would soon become a legend, told and retold across the galaxy. I hope you had a good time. If you liked my story, do not forget to comment and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye, see you in the next story.